So today we're gonna go on a huge tangent.
Yeah.
This is really just a tangent from last week because we did the whole should have been a black card deal.
Yes.
And in that episode, we mentioned that we had ruled out some entire categories of thing because there's just everything in that category matches. And we mentioned Ron Spencer, but I had also thought we should rule out Nils Hamm.
Yeah, Nils Hamm is a little spooky.
Yeah, and I just cut that for content. You just didn't mention it. But I had been looking through Nils Hamm's entire catalog of magic works on Scryfall, which includes 207 hits, so a lot of things. And I found my way to this article, this interview from 2019, where it says, "How did you become a magic artist?" And he mentions first working on a different Wizards game, Hecatomb. And because I am who I am, I immediately looked that up on eBay. And it took me some time. I watched the listing for a week or two, but then eBay sent me a deal on it. I couldn't not take the deal.
I love when they do that. I love it. I hate it. They send me a lot of those. It's a problem.
So what you see behind you here is a small Hecatomb collection, and we're going to do a bit of an opening and talk about, not going to open all of those, that would take forever, especially as much as we like to talk about the things we're looking at. We'll probably open a couple of the starters, which are 40 cards each, and just go through those.
Yeah.
And yeah, case in point, I intended for this to be a 10-second intro. And what are we at now? Since we are, in fact, a magic channel, we probably should talk about magic a little bit.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Hecatomb. So let's talk about the card Hecatomb, which kept popping up in searches whenever I tried to look up the game.
Yeah, turns out there's
Hecatomb.
a magic card called Hecatomb.
Yeah, and I have a whole Ice Age set, so I have this, though I did not recollect it at all. And when I first looked at it, I thought, this is kind of cool. When Hecatomb comes into play, sacrifice 4 creatures. Then, activated ability for 0 mana, so just whenever you want, tap target swamp you control to have Hecatomb deal 1 damage to target creature or player. So just like machine gun things with your swamps.
I'm into that.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it does.
So that's what I first read the Ice Age templating and thought, this is awesome. Why aren't people running this all the time?
Yeah.
Turns out, when they reprinted it shortly later, they clarified the intent of the card, which was when Hecatomb comes into play, sacrifice 4 creatures or bury Hecatomb. I was thinking you just play this in a creatureless deck.
Yeah.
And you just, there's no cost to sacrificing 4 creatures.
Slight nuance here.
Turns out, I think today it would be templated as an additional cost to cast this card.
Also
sacrifice
do this
4
thing,
creatures.
yes.
So that's the idea. That's way less awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
so that's why we haven't seen it in everyone's black decks.
I want to see someone make this work. I want to make this work.
I do too.
I might do it, but it's not as ridiculous as I thought it was. But anyway, back to Nils Hamm.
Yeah. Also, I love the art on the Ice Age printing. Very cool art for Hecatomb.
Yeah. Oh, and I looked up Hecatomb, the word. It actually has an actual meaning outside of this.
What does it mean?
Let me pull up Wikipedia here. Right. So, in ancient Greece, a Hecatomb was a sacrifice of 100 cattle to the Greek gods. In practice, as few as 12, and came to later have a general...
That's such a wide... I mean, actually, you
12
can do as
to
few as
100
12.
cattle.
Yeah, anywhere between 12 and 100 is fine.
That
You
apparently...
don't have homemade store-bought, will do.
and now it's generally a term for sacrificing a lot of something. And in the case of Hecatomb, the game, it's sacrificing a lot of everythings to bring about the end of the world on purpose. And that's neat. But we can see how they translated that into the magic card. Pretty sinister.
That's
but
cool.
yeah, let's just talk about Nils Hamm for a little while now, because I just want an excuse to do that.
Yeah,
He's
absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah, I love his stuff. He does a lot of really good a lot of his stuff just has a kind of spooky tinge to it, even if it's not a particularly spooky looking card or a set that is heavily spooky themed.
And that's clearly why he got in via Hecatomb, because Hecatomb is dark as anything. And so he came and did that, and then had the in at Wizards and was able to give us all this beautiful work.
Yeah, if you aren't sure who Nils Hamm is, you will probably recognize his work from... The one that I always think of is the Baleful Strix.
Yeah, that's real famous.
But he's done a lot of iconic art.
Yeah.
Recently, I think Gilderbairn was pretty popular just because it's so cute.
I love so his baseline seems to be super dark, super creepy.
He's great at shadows.
And then when he does things that have a light element, it's just beautiful. There's the Glimmerbairn and the Gilderbairn.
Yes.
And that's right, Delver of Secrets.
Yes, Delver of
And
Secrets.
all the other variants, Abdurant Researcher and Docent of Perfection, and the Token.
Yes.
To go along with those. So he's done a lot of Innistrad work. I love Briarhorn.
That's a really beautiful one.
I think that was a Lorwyn. Yeah, the first set he worked in was, well, I guess he had one card in 10th edition, but other than that, Lorwyn.
Yeah, he does so well with these pieces that are like kind of ephemeral, the more like the fantasy inspired monsters that are like I love the way he paints shadows and the way things kind of seamlessly blend. It's all very when I think about his stuff, I think ephemeral. Like he's really good at painting these things that kind of seamlessly blend in. It's almost dreamlike. Yeah. A lot of his stuff is.
Everdream is one of my
Everdream is
favorites.
a great example of that.
And it's also one of those that exemplifies that kind of light and just super dark juxtaposition that's just beautiful.
We do see him do some more like traditional pieces in. If we go back to on the last page of the card file, I know he did some stuff in Amonkhet that are a little bit different from his usual style. So you know he has a range, but his baseline is definitely those pieces like what we see on the Delver of Secrets and
the interview article that led me to Hecatomb. He mentions he really likes to be told just do what you want, just give freedom. He doesn't benefit so much from the restrictions breed creativity that Mark Rosewater cites all the time, that I personally find very useful. Yeah,
personally I'm in the same boat. Like the more restrictions I have, the more creative I am. If you're just like, if you just give me a prompt, do whatever you want.
We're like 38 episodes of this. Yeah. Because we have structure. We're doing like one a week. It's about magic. Like I think we would not be able to just like make random content about.
Yeah, if it was just like do whatever you want, I don't do well in those kind of prompts. But
Nils Hamm apparently does, and he cited his work on Elderwood Scion in the article. I think, beautiful. Yeah, it is. It is beautiful. He pointed out that he had done something really cool with this mammoth. Before I move on, Lucid Dreams.
Oh, that one's
absolutely
lovely.
Beautiful.
Oh, the March of Otherworldly Light too from Neon Kamigawa.
No, it's the mammoth. It's in. No.
Yes. Oh, he did Sewer Nemesis too. I love that card.
Sewer Nemesis. What was that one?
Go down a little bit. Yeah, you just passed it. There it is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh! That's like the anti-Fibblethip.
Yes! That's like Fibblethip's ugly cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Right, here's...
Is it the Frontier Mastodon?
It's the undead version. Oh! He did that, and he did... Here it is, the Rotting Mastodon.
Rotting Mastodon.
I have never noticed. Look, there's a skull in it.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this is just it's a 2/8 for 5 that I've never looked at because it's an otherwise vanilla creature. Yeah. But that is so cool.
Yeah, I love that. So, Nils Hamm, amazing work. And I got his secret lair.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
What was in that one?
It's got a tireless tracker who has the Glimmerbairn or the Gilderbairn as art.
Oh, that's cool.
The Deep Glow Skate. That's another one's just beautiful because it's, I think the Gilderbairn's in each of these.
Okay.
Yeah, that was what Nils Hamm decided to do.
I love that Contagion engine where they're just pointing at it.
Yeah.
That's great.
That has a very where the wild things are.
Yeah.
Sense. Yeah, Nils Hamm is his own person. He has his own style, but at times he reminds me of Brahm. At times he reminds me of where the wild things are. Is that Sindak, or did he only do the words?
Oh, I'm not sure who illustrated that.
Yeah. But that, and also the scary stories to tell in the dark artist.
I can see that.
I'm sure I'll find it and flash the name on
Yes. Yeah, he has some great work. If you're not familiar with his stuff, I would definitely look up his art on Scryfall and check it out. And he also has some other non-magic related stuff if you look at his artist website. That's really fantastic.
It is absolutely beautiful. All right. That's probably good for Mr. Hamm, yes?
I think so.
All right, well, let's talk about Hecatomb then. And I've taken the time to read through the rulebook pretty extensively in advance, and I think it's really interesting to see how much this is just, you start with magic and then you simplify some things and add some new layers to others, but it's got the fundamentals of magic. It has the tap symbol.
Yeah, because this came out, what, 10 years into Magic's run?
Yeah, it came out in August 2005, so that's around the end of the Mirrodin block, beginning of the Kamigawa block, and it was canceled just like in May of 2006, so is that 8-9 months later?
Okay, so pretty short run.
After just 2 expansions, yeah. So I have, before we start opening, I'll just explain some of the basics with some of the cards that were already open in this set, in this this lot that I got from eBay. So the cards are pentagonal. That was the big selling point, I guess, or just novel aspect of it.
Yeah.
And not only are they pentagonal, but they are transparent on the outside rims, because rather than having each card representing a creature, these are minion cards, and they stack on top of each other to become abominations. So if you have just a single minion out there, it can't actually attack. It has to be stacked to become an abomination. And you can have up to 5 minions forming an abomination, and you alternate the direction they face, so you can see each edge, and some of them have rules text. And you add their powers together to come up with the overall power of the thing.
Okay. So this is kind of like, I mean, it happens way before we see effects like mutate in Magic.
Yeah,
but it's a little bit
very
like
much
that, where you have a stack,
mm-hmm.
and you're kind of determining the characteristics. Okay.
But the structure of the turns is similar. You have a... the goal of the game is just get up to 20 rather than get down from 20.
Okay.
You get to 20 souls and you bring about Armageddon and you win because that's your goal and you're an Endbringer.
Cool.
And you start each turn getting a new soul. So there's always a countdown.
Okay.
There's no losing to decking. They took that rule out because you're always progressing toward winning.
Okay.
If you manage to attack and hit your opponent, you steal their souls. You reap souls, but that's what it is. You take their souls for your own. So
I am so into this game.
Yeah.
I'm really
but so
into
that
this.
gives the game a lot more velocity too.
Yeah.
Attacking and blocking are the fundamental aspect of the game. You can't multi-block. It's simplified there. So most of the things about this are simplifications because they've added this big complication of stacking the creatures together.
Okay.
Some of the creatures have a trigger, which is basically an ETB. The lower section here is the trigger, and it's oftentimes a different color than the rest of the card.
Okay.
And if you play it on top of a minion that is the color that matches this, so basically this is a green card that if you play it on top of a blue card, you get an ETB. That's basically what that means.
Okay.
And some of them have a trigger for their own color. A lot of cards just do not have a trigger. But then attacking and blocking is the basis. You can attack as many times as you want. Ooh. I'm not sure how much that changes things because you still have to tap your creature to attack.
Okay.
They do have summoning sickness if you've added a minion to them that turn. And again, you can't attack with just a single minion. You have to have at least 2 in a stack forming an abomination before you can make that attack. And they have to be untapped to block. But then when they deal damage to each other, rather than caring about the overall power of the entire stack, or rather the strength, it's one number. It's an abomination has a strength, and it's the sum of the strength of all the minions. And then from the top, if you deal 3 damage to an abomination, you check the strength of that top minion. If it has 1 strength, it's dead. You remove it from the stack. If it has, and then you would go and apply damage to the next minion on the stack. And if you don't have enough damage to kill the top thing on the stack, just nothing happens to that abomination. It's fine.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so that clearly has a lot of strategic ramifications. But I think that's enough rambling. Any other rules differences or anything, we'll hit those as we go through these. So should we start opening things?
Should we?
Yeah.
Should I show off my show and tell project at the end of the video? Or in the middle of everything?
I think as a reward for viewers who stick it out.
Okay.
You know, either the middle or the end. If the spirit moves you. But not yet. We have to tease it.
Okay. So
clever content.
I was late today for recording.
I don't think you should tell them what it is.
Because I found something. that I needed to deal with.
Yes. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. And I brought it, so I will show it off if you watch the whole thing.
If we find a card that really resembles it, then that'll be the perfect opportunity. And if we don't, then we'll show it at the end.
If we happen to open something, I will show it off. Otherwise, it's at the end.
This one's a little banged up, so let's open 2 relatively pristine starters. This lot was basically most of a booster box of each of the 2 expansions, and most of a box of starters, but half of the starters have been opened, and so that's why I have the ones around here. So, you want to go ahead and get in there?
So cool.
I
love this. I love the fonts that they chose for this packaging.
Everything about this is just super edgy. It reminds me of Spawn, because I was in Spawn comics in the early 2000s, and it feels like this is at the tail end of that hyper edgy phase.
Yeah.
But instead of calling them colors, they have 4 dooms, and these are the symbols for them. Green is greed, gray is corruption, blue is deception, and red is destruction, and I don't intend to reference those ever again. I'm just going to call them by the colors because it's simple enough. And blue and red even seem to have the same rough color identity as magic.
And you know it's edgy because it's age 15 and up. So.
Yeah. Like, it legitimately is, though. I mean,
it is, though. We looked at some of the cards, and they're pretty dark.
Yeah.
See what all we have in here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a little rule book in pristine condition. We've got some little number counters.
Right, so I think these are for counting up to 20. There are a lot of similarities I've noticed, because we tried to pick up Lorcana a little bit ago. We haven't played it much.
We gave it a shot. We've got some starter decks.
But Lorcana obviously has a lot of Magic's DNA in it, and this has the same case. And even to the point where, rather than having separate resource cards in here, it uses mana as the term. You use mana to cast your minions and other cards here, but any card you can play from your hand as mana. You just play it upside down. So rather than face up, it's face down, or top down. Not face up, face down. You don't reverse and show the back of the card. You keep it this way because this is now a blue mana. And you turn it sideways to represent tapped. And I guess there's probably a visual logistics issue where, well, in Magic, it's everyone knows it's a sin to play with your lands up front. And your
that's
creatures
considered
back, right?
very perverse.
If you do that in this game, I think you're going to just truly have confusion. You have to have your mana to the back so you can tell these are the cards that were not in play. Probably also made it easier to cheat at this game.
Okay, so anyone who's opened a lot of TCG packs is probably aware that the cards have a particular smell.
Yeah, these do.
These have an interesting smell.
Yeah. I have a terrible sense of smell.
I don't know how to explain it.
And I can smell these.
But
it's
yeah,
neat.
they do have a distinct smell, and I'm kind of into it. Also, we haven't played this game yet, so like I'm anticipating this is going to be fun, but I'm really into this just based on what I'm seeing here.
Yeah. All right, so my camera technology here is not that great, so I'm going to use images that seem to have been published by Wizards back when this game was new, but they're not very high resolution because again, this is 2005. The internet was lower resolution then. I'm sorry.
It just was.
So we'll try and call out the artist names here because you cannot see them on the images I have available.
Yeah.
I think you can read the name of the card, its abilities, and its flavor text generally all right. But I'll try and add the other information.
Yeah, the illustrator credit, the collector number, and the copyright information on these is really tiny.
We're probably not going to read the copyright information.
We're not.
We'll give you the rest.
So yeah,
let's start from the
just
front.
Go through. So the first one we've got here is the Jester.
Well, okay. Let's So it looks like the rares, the first ones. So let's go ahead and talk about the Jester first, but then let's swap the order.
Okay.
After that, we'll go through the...
these card backs are also really cool. Yeah. So we opened this... The way I opened this, the rares, it looks like are on top. So first one is the Jester, which is a minion undead. Let's see. It's a strength 1 with... Is this what you said was a trigger? Or no, this is where you would have the trigger.
Right. So the ability...
This is just an ability.
Yeah, because you can always see that no matter how many are stacked, up to 5. So that one, those tend to be static.
That makes sense. So this one is illustrated by Ben Templesmith. It's got a real spooky little guy on it. And he's a undead lord. Each undead abomination gets
creepy.
+2 strength. Yeah, he's very creepy. And the flavor text says, once you hear it, his cackling laugh plays in your mind forever.
So this 3 and that symbol, which is the greed symbol, that's the cost.
Oh, okay.
And again, a simplified version of Magic, you have to tap that many mana, and at least one must be the matching color.
Okay.
So it's like everything is a one color pipped card.
Very cool. And what was this number? Did we talk about that?
That one on the lower right is just the set. So this
is the base set or the
base
first.
set. Yes.
Okay.
Cool. So what is his actual ability?
Each undead abomination gets +2 strength.
Okay, that's cool. So yeah, since that's an ability on the outside, it'll always be active as long as it's part of the abomination. And you can see here, right beside his or above his name, we have minion and then undead. So that's where types and subtypes same as Magic.
Kind of similar to what we're familiar with in Magic.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so now we're going to go from the back so we can build up the anticipation, because there's something pretty cool in here.
And it does seem like they have a fair number of cards that are just like Lord of Atlantis, Goblin King, do your creature type.
Yeah, just help out other creatures.
All right, what's next?
So this one is, I think they're using the same... It looks like they're using the same rarity symbols as they did in Pokemon. So we have circles for commons. I forgot what uncommon is.
It's like a diamond with curved edges for uncommon.
And then stars
star.
for rare.
Yeah.
This is a creature from Xylo.
Yeah.
Let's see. Illustrated Igor Alban Chevalier.
It's tentacly, and it is an outsider, and that's generally Cthulhu inspired.
Yeah, this looks very Cthulhu-esque.
And they have a lot of Lovecraft quotes on the cards. This one has an actual trigger, so it doesn't have room for a flavor text.
Yeah, this one has a trigger that says, stitch one of your minions onto this abomination.
All right, let's look up Stitch.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Some of the abilities are just exactly the same as Magic abilities, but with different names. But I'm pretty sure Stitch is unique to this abomination concept. Move minions by either putting them on an existing abomination or bringing them together to create a new one. Your minions can't be stitched onto enemy abominations. If minions are stitched together, in quotes, they start a new untapped abomination. Okay. Stitching minions onto an abomination prevents that abomination from attacking that turn. They have summoning sickness. If you add to the abomination, you can't attack. You can attack with something and then stack another minion on it afterwards, I believe.
I forgot to ask, does this game have phases kind of like Magic, or
sort of? There's no stack. There are no instants. So the only time you can do things on your opponent's turn, or you have one window after they declare attackers and one window after you declare blockers to cast. I think they call them fates. They're combat fates that are specifically abilities to be used right then. You can do this at this
specific time.
And it's not a back and forth. You don't keep responding. You get active player gets to do something, defensive player gets to do not something, any number of things. And then you go move on to declare blockers, then you have those 2 turns again, and then that's it. Resolve combat.
Yeah, this critter, aside from the trigger, it doesn't have anything else up here on the top part. It's a strength 2. It looks like it costs 4 and gray.
So that's not 4 and gray. It's just it costs 4, and at least one of those must be gray.
Okay, I'm reading it like it's a Magic CMC. I get it now.
And since that's a gray trigger, you can get this. You can accomplish this in a monocolor deck.
Okay.
But that's the main incentive. Well, mana costs basically are still there since it's only 1 pip, but you do have to have the same color of card you're playing in your mana pool. So you are incentivized not to just go immediately to 4-color good stuff. But also the triggers. You'll find that some of these are basically gold cards because they have 1 color and their trigger's another color.
Okay. Let's see what our... This one is a fate. It is a fate mishap, if that's... I don't know how many different kinds there are.
That's a subtype, but I haven't seen cards that reference subtypes except for minions yet.
So this one says it was only a dream. It costs 6. It's blue, and it exiles target minion or relic. I assume relic is something like an artifact.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Exile does not mean the same thing it does in Magic, very confusingly. I don't know if they were using exile in Magic at this point, though. I think that might
be a newer concept. This one is illustrated by Jeremy Spears.
Exile means bounce. It means return it to your hand. That's very confusing to me.
That is very confusing. Okay, so this just bounces a creature or a relic.
For 6. That seems
a lot.
Crazy a lot.
Right?
Yeah. Well, let me check that again. Can it? I don't think it bounces a whole abomination because that would be far more powerful.
Yeah,
but
it says target minion or
target
relic.
minion. Oh yeah.
So I assume that wouldn't be the entire abomination?
No, it wouldn't. Okay. It would just be the one minion.
Interesting. Okay, so that one seems not great.
Yeah, for the cost.
This one is Surrounded by Idiots, which is another Fate mishap. This is 2. This one's a red card. This one is Destroy Target Relic, and this is also illustrated by Jeremy Spears.
Okay.
Well, he's just trying to help.
Destroy target. So it's Shatter.
Yeah.
All right.
So, like, that seems fine for that cost.
Yeah.
Let's see what we have here. Spirit of Fury. Okay, this is another minion. This is a Psychosis minion.
All right.
This one is also illustrated by Igor Alban Chevalier, which we saw earlier on in the stack. And what is Martyr?
Yeah, that's a neat one. And that's only can exist given this game's relationship between cards and mana. And it says when it dies, it becomes mana. It just goes to your mana pool, and you can tap it for mana from then on out. And you do have the same, or a comparable restriction in Magic, where you can only play one card as a mana card each turn.
It looks like they also had some quality control issues, because we just opened this, and this top corner
that's unfortunate.
has a little chunk taken out of it.
Yeah.
Which may just be, owing to the nature of these plasticized cards. But
yeah,
I don't know. The interesting thing though is that I don't see the chunk in the bag, so maybe that happened before it was.
I'll throw it away though.
Okay.
I'm not going to throw it in the car. I'll throw it in the trash.
I thought you wanted to look at this.
Oh no.
Yeah. Strength 2, Martyr, cost 3, Minion, Psychosis.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Martyr sounds like it plays like Ramp. I'm curious, and it's green, so did they just take that color identity more or less?
Did we just copy paste the green identity?
I'm into that. I like ramping. I think I'm going to like Martyr.
Suckling. Oh, it's so cute. Look at him.
It's like a
oh my goodness.
cute ladybug tick.
It's like a cute tick.
I've been playing Grounded a lot, so it's kind of where my brain goes.
This is illustrated by Colin Fix. It is a minion mutant. It costs 3. It's called Suckling. It's so adorable. It says it has a trigger. The trigger is blue though. Exile target strength 4+ minion.
And again, that's bounce. Okay.
Okay. So if this little guy bites you, you get bounced.
Interesting.
He's adorable. Let's see what our next one is. Crypt Caller. Oh, this is cool looking.
Oh,
This is another 2-color card, so it's blue, but it has a green trigger. Minion Undead costs 5, illustrated by Joshua Hagler. The trigger is green, says Exhume target minion card.
All right. Exhume is either return from graveyard to hand or to play. Let's see. Take one or more cards from a graveyard and put them into their owner's hand. Yeah, so it's Raise Dead is just really baked into this game, which feels very thematically appropriate.
Yeah, that seems appropriate for the way these look. Let's see what we have here. Ooh. Niberian Elephant. Minion Beast. This is big. It's a strength 8.
Yeah.
That's large. Let's see. Illustrated by Christopher Shy. Very pretty. This has some of that kind of Nils Hamm-esque ethereal quality to the edges of the elephant that I like.
And that's one thing we haven't confirmed yet is whether Nils Hamm actually did anything in the base set, or it may just be the expansion. So we don't know if we'll find any of his work today.
Don't know.
It's an adventure.
If we do, though, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Oops. I went too far. Mindless Servant. Oh, that's creepy. This is a minion cultist. It's just a 1.
Yeah.
It's a strength 1, costs 1.
It is the most
green
vanilla.
Card. Yeah, it's super vanilla. But I love the art. Very creepy.
Yeah.
Also illustrated by Christopher Shy. Glimpse of the Cosmos. This is Fate. This is a Fate curse.
Okay.
Each enemy discards 2 cards. Is there a multiplayer version of this?
The rules are agnostic to the number of players.
They're like, do whatever you want.
Yeah. I mean, we think of the current Magic era as, multiplayer is Commander, but before Commander was popular, like people just played multiplayer with whatever decks you had. I mean, that's what I did in college in my dorm, in high school, middle school on the floor, with the dual lands. But like that was totally normal until Commander became this format that really is better at that whole multiplayer experience. But people just did that with their 60 card decks all the time. So I think they designed the second part of that thought. And so old Magic cards, you see a lot of them that are templated for multiplayer, even though there wasn't really an official multiplayer. And the same, they clearly designed it the same way.
This one is illustrated by Raven Mimura. Very cool. This art looks like it could easily go in an Innistrad theme.
And since this is a Fate and it's not a combat Fate, it's basically serving as a sorcery.
Okay. How do you think this is pronounced?
Yofaqua.
It's a minion demon. And it has a red trigger, 4 damage to target abomination.
Ooh. Damage, it seems you do not track it over the course of a turn. Okay. So if your opponent had a abomination, just one out that had a 5 strength thing up top, you aren't going to manage to do some combination of that plus another one of those, or that plus combat. You just got to kill something outright, or
So it would have to be like a 4 or less for this to destroy it. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I mean, looking at most of what we've seen so far, most creatures are small.
They're not. It seems like it's more the exception where you get something that's really big.
Yeah.
This one is illustrated by Lucio Parillo. See what we have next.
It's kind of surprising these names are not familiar.
Yeah, I have yet to come across one where I'm like, oh, I know who that is. Bahaki? Yihaki?
Something like that.
This is a 7-drop, strength 5, and it's got a Lovecraft quote on it. There flopped something I cannot and must not recall. I kind of want to use that as like a more casual conversation in some way. Like, I cannot and must not recall this.
I like flopped? Did flopped just really have a different feel back?
Maybe
120 years ago when Lovecraft was writing? Because it's such a silly word now.
Yeah, it is. Flopped. This one is illustrated by Sam Wood. Yeah, it's got some spooky art. I like this. This is fun. Damned Thing.
All right.
Yep, that's what that is. This is
age
a
15 plus.
Yeah.
Damned.
It's got curse words in it. This is a parasite. And it's a destruction invader. What does that mean?
Oh, it's a destruction evader, which means it has hexproof from destruction. Destruction's red, so that's basically hexproof red. But what is the first?
Red, parasite.
Parasite.
Just says parasite. Period.
I think that's one that's actually a negative ability that says you can't play any minions on top of this. So this is going to be the top of your abomination.
Okay.
Presumably, they can give it stronger abilities based on that. Yes, you cannot play other minions on top of it.
Okay. All right. This one is also illustrated by Lucio Parillo. Okay. And that one is a 7, so I mean, that's a strong minion.
Yeah.
Compared to some of these other ones. Victimize.
Okay.
So this is specified as a combat fate tactic.
So here's something that's as close to an instant as you can get, which isn't actually instant, but you can play it on your opponent's turn in those windows.
Yeah, this does 4 damage to target blocked abomination.
Target blocked abomination. Okay, so you want to use this as the attacker.
Yeah.
No. You the defender, want to use this.
So you block and then you would use this.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah, I guess that's right. Okay.
And this is illustrated by Mitch Cotier?
Looks like, is it Kerrigan in StarCraft?
Maybe. I'm not familiar with I was thinking, like, she kind of, she looks like she could be on, Zendikar with some of the some of the like the Calastria vampires.
Actually, that art style is a hair Spencer-esque.
A little bit. Yeah. It's got a little.
I think it's the kind of extreme shading.
Yeah, it's like there's a little Ron Spencer influence there. Let's see what we got here. Devoted One. This one has Reaper +1.
Ooh, that sounds impressive.
It does.
I think that is if it's unblocked, it steals an extra 1 soul from your opponent.
Oh,
because the reap is to take souls from an enemy. So if an abomination has Reaper +X, it does more damage effectively when it hits your opponent as opposed to hitting another abomination.
That's cool.
So you're extra incentivized to block it.
This is illustrated by Ben Templesmith, and it is a minion cultist. Very cool. The Butcher. The Butcher.
I don't think there's anything about legends in here, so that probably doesn't have meaningful rules implications.
This is a minion demon with a trigger 3 damage to target abomination.
That sounds real good. And it's a red trigger, so monocolored.
I love how many mouths it has.
Oh, that's
neat.
So it is. That's more than normal.
Yeah, it has more than the normal number of mouths, which is cool. Let's see. Our next one is Callow Believer. It's a minion cultist, and this one has it's a blue card with a blue trigger.
Okay.
Discard 1, draw 1.
It's a looter.
Yeah.
Well, it's a rummager.
It's a rummager.
Okay.
He's gonna rummage for you. Let's see. Illustration by Joshua Hagler.
Yeah. I mean, this is continue to illustrate to me how useful it is once you know Magic for the designers of a game to be able to assume their audience knows Magic and be able to just build on that.
Yeah.
Because so much of this is just comparable.
I have found that knowing the rules of Magic has both made it easier to understand other card games and more difficult.
That's
like, simultaneously.
I found that I irritate other people who aren't big Magic nerds when I'm like, oh yeah, this is priority. This is the stack.
That's the best when you're trying to explain it to somebody who doesn't have a great background in Magic, and you're like, oh yeah, it's just like the stack, and they're just like,
shut up, I'm tired of this.
Yeah, can you stop talking about this already? It's like, I wish you would never mention that again.
Pickleball, man.
Yeah, God.
Anyway.
The minutiae of pickleball. That's not what this card is, by the way. This is Forsaken. If I opened the minutiae of pickleball, that would be like the worst curse possible for me in here. I'm just like... Anyway, this is a green minion undead Forsaken Shell. What a fun friend.
Oh, wow.
Look at this thing. I just watched Possession last night from 1981 with Sam Neill, and this kind of reminds me of something that's in that movie.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway, it's got Host and Corruption Evader.
Yeah, okay, so Evader is, again, just hexproof.
So it's kind of like hexproof.
Corruption's the gray spells.
So hexproof from gray.
Host, I think, means it has to be the bottom. It's like the opposite of Parasite.
Oh, okay.
So let's verify here.
So you can't play this on top of...
You can only play it as a new abomination.
Okay.
I presume that's, again, a negative costing thing where they put this restriction on it and therefore it can be... So, yeah, it's it only costs 4, but it's 6.
Yeah, it's a strength 6, costs 4.
And the whole abomination's going to have hexproof from gray.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Illustrated by Kari Christensen. Like peeling these off this stack.
If you're still here, please let us know if you're interested in this, because we have all these other cards we might want to open on camera, but like, if no one cares, we won't. We'll do something else. We'll talk more about Magic. But
we'll go back to talking about Magic, or if you like hearing us yap about this dead card game.
Or other dead card games.
Or other dead. Honestly, yes, very open to... My interest in necromancy does extend beyond just playing black, by the way. This is great. This one is called Midnight Snack.
I've seen this one. I like this a lot, stylistically.
This is a fate. It's a mishap. I love mishap as a card category, like a subtype, where it's like, that sounds like so innocuous. Like, oh, it's a mishap.
Yeah.
It's just a little mishap. Don't worry about it. It costs 5. Tap target abomination. So that does feel a bit like a mishap. You're like, I'm assuming that's like like tapping in Magic.
Yeah.
I thought Midnight Snack was gonna like...
Well, the flavor text here, isn't it about vampires?
It says, what monster can resist stopping to kill teenagers making out?
Right, I would expect that to kill an abomination, or at least a minion, not...
No, it just taps them.
For 5?
For 5.
That sounds
That's
terrible.
Kind of anticlimactic. Illustration by Christopher Shy. Food poisoning! This is a combat fate. Also a mishap.
Are we on to the uncommons, or is this still common?
This is common. Okay. Yeah. Abominations deal no combat damage this turn, so this is a blue fog effect. Illustration by Ian Edward Ameling.
Yeah. So I guess you could, if you're the defender, you hope your opponent wastes a combat fate or two of their own.
Yeah.
And then you do this as the last possible thing. But again, you can't like do it in response to things. You got to use one of your 2 windows.
Also, love the art here. It's like a werewolf holding his tummy.
Poor guy.
Just like, been there, buddy.
But is it a werewolf? Oh, it is a werewolf. I was thinking I was reading this ear as an eye, and it was like a cyclops or homunculus. But no, you're right. You're right.
He's just kind of holding his tummy.
Like, who would do such a thing?
Well, like, you don't necessarily do it on I feel like the flavor there is like we were gonna go.
It was an accident.
We were gonna go to combat, but then I got food poisoning, and now I'm sitting here on the ground holding my tummy.
You're absolutely right.
You know.
but he was set up.
Yeah, I mean, probably. All right, this next one is 5 space interloper. Mm-hmm. While this is size 3 minus.
3 or less.
3 or less. Okay, it has Rager +3.
Rager. I think that is the opposite of Reaper, so that it gets bigger when it's fighting abominations as opposed to just hitting a player. Rager. An abomination with Rager ability, it gets +X strength while attacking.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's whether it's blocked or not.
Cool. Neat. Okay, and we're still in commons. This is still a common card.
But it's very aggro, and so it seems more like red. I know we haven't seen it in these that I've opened. I've definitely seen like direct damage type spells, so it seems like that part of the color identity is there.
That kind of transfers from Magic.
Yeah.
Illustration by Colin Fix. That's a cool little creature. I like how the eyeballs are just floating off in the... Like, I don't know that the eyeballs are connected to the creature, or if it's just in a space where there are eyeballs floating, but needless to say, I like that. Oh, this is cool.
Oh, well, back up on this guy on the flavor text. It did not fly, float, or swim through the air. It crawled along some unseen, obscene shape. So the eyes are on something. We just can't perceive it because our feeble minds cannot comprehend it.
We can't comprehend this.
Oh, and it is an outsider, so Cthulhu-esque.
So this is some kind of eldritch nightmare. Being.
Eldritch geometry,
yes. Eldritch geometry.
I would not want to take that class. Maybe I would, actually.
I would sign up for Eldritch
Never mind.
Geometry.
Yeah,
I think it'd be fun. Okay.
Ooh.
Gift of Hades. This is a combat fate invocation.
Is this one by Nils Hamm?
It's not, but it looks like it could be.
Yeah, it is.
It sure does look like it could be. This is illustrated by Joshua Hagler.
Okay.
And this says target abomination gets survivor +3.
Let's find out about survivor, shall we? That one I do not recall reading about. When it blocks or is blocked, it ignores the first X damage dealt to its top minion.
Okay. So I guess it would get ignores 3 damage?
Yeah.
Is that how that would work?
We just don't see that much in Magic. There's that shield. It's the back of Redain, right?
I'd have to look it up. I know I've seen a lot of effects that prevent 1 damage.
Right.
Like, that's a common thing.
But not like every time anything is done. That's true. That's true. I mean, we had healing salve in alpha and everything, and they just realized that was kind of a
we don't often see these kinds of effects.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking of something that did that to absolutely everything on your board all the time. That's not what this is. This is a one. This is to itself.
Yeah.
But...
And this is a green card. This is interesting because this is this feels like artistically and flavor text wise. This feels so. Like, if this was a Magic card, it would be black. Or I guess in this context, it would be gray.
Everything in this game is black, though. Like,
yeah, but, like, just the flavor text says exquisite pain, exquisite power.
Yep. Yeah. And green is greed. That's the doom it's supposed to be. But, like, flavor-wise... flavor-wise, everything's black. Yeah. Mechanically, you have some similarity to the Magic colors. But flavor-wise, it's all just
this
super
is cool.
dark.
It's just 1 green, so...
Ooh.
That's...
Yeah. Oh, and I phrased it wrong. No, I didn't. Irrelevant. Never mind.
All right, this one is a minion cultist, Bringer of Sacrifice, also illustrated by Joshua Hagler. It has a trigger, gain 1 soul, and it has Guardian.
So the gain 1 soul, that's just like your life total. You're trying to get up to 20 rather than...
We're trying to get to 20.
You're trying to trigger the apocalypse.
Your opponent to 0.
Everyone's a winner because everyone wants the apocalypse.
We all have the same goal.
It's just a matter of who gets to be the one to trigger it.
It's a race.
You're just after bragging rights, but we're all
here for the same thing.
What am I looking up? I got distracted.
Guardian.
It can't attack. It has Defender.
Oh, okay. Guardian's
Why didn't
like
they
Defender.
just say Defender? If you're going to borrow mana, if you're going to borrow attack and block.
Yeah, Guardian sounds like it does something else, but we're not going to get into that.
That's fine.
Okay. Let's see what the next one is. Hidden Power. Let's see This is a combat fate tactic.
I'm going to back up just a second.
Sure.
So Guardian in this game seems like a much bigger liability than Defender because you're putting this on an abomination. It's part of an abomination. You have to have at least 2 minions forming an abomination to even attack. Like, you don't have as much room, and like most decks don't run Defenders anyway. Most decks don't have room for creatures that can't attack. So that
doesn't seem great. It only costs 2 for strength 4, but that still seems...
I mean, you could just play it as a new abomination.
Yeah.
What I don't recall is, I know you can't attack with a 1 minion abomination. I don't think you can block with one either.
Okay.
So I think that you wouldn't want to just play this out there as a single thing that could just block and nothing else.
I mean, I guess depending on how easy it is to accumulate souls, gaining 1 soul seems too incremental, but if you're at 19, does this just win you the game when you play it?
Yes. That's true. I mean, but yeah.
But yeah, that seems too incremental to matter.
I can't find the answer to this too quickly. I do know there is a rule in here that if an abomination is reduced to 1 minion during combat for whatever, like a direct damage spell or something, it is removed from combat immediately and does not deal or receive damage any further. So that implies that you can't attack or block with them.
Okay.
So I can confirm that later. It's clearly very important that everyone knows
We're going to get into some real rules minutiae here. I'm sure after we play, we'll have lots of questions.
Yeah.
This one is called Hidden Power. This has some great art. This one is illustrated by Ben Templesmith. And it's a combat fate tactic 1. It's a blue card, so that has to be blue. Target abomination gets +3 strength.
Okay.
That's cool. It shows a guy like ripping off his flesh face to reveal an eldritch being beneath.
Yeah. That is
pretty neat.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty neat. 100 Lashes. This is a red fate tactic. Target demon abomination gets fanatic.
I think fanatic is haste.
Okay. That's very specific, though. It's got to be a demon.
Yeah. I don't know what percentage.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe red has an unusual concentration of demons.
Yeah. It can attack even if you've played a minion on it this turn. And it can still attack, or it cannot attack if it's tapped, though, so it doesn't change that rule.
Okay.
That's fine.
And this one is illustrated by Jason Felix. We still haven't gotten to anyone that I recognize as far as the illustrators for this game. This is interesting. I was wondering if there would be a lot of overlap between people we see working in Magic, but maybe not so much.
This seems to be an issue in a design issue where, like, is this worth a card? Even if it was free and it cost 1. Do you have room for that in your deck?
Like,
you draw 2 cards per turn in this game.
Okay. I was like, would I run that?
But you still get 1 mana per turn. So I don't know. But I don't know if that changes the dynamic and makes things like that more valuable.
Yeah.
But they seem to have costed just bounce spells so much more highly than, like, Unsummon was 1 blue and alpha, and here it's like 5. So there are some of these design decisions seem weird, and I don't... Maybe when we play, we'll see why things work differently.
It might make more sense. This is a minion animate eviscerator. Trigger, each enemy loses 1 soul. It's a strength 5 for 5.
Okay.
Illustrated by Christopher Shy. Then we have Hadrabor, minion outsider. This guy's got regenerate. And a trigger.
I think regenerate just goes back to your hand.
Or regenerator.
If it would die. If the minion would die, it goes back to your hand. Yes. Which seems really powerful, but I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see how it plays
It
out.
also has a trigger in red. Target abomination gets Rager +2.
Ooh.
That's kind of neat. This one is illustrated by Lucio Parillo. Ooh, this is cool. Oh, like, this is a fish minion. Whenever this reaps, discard 1, then draw 1. This is called Being from Beyond. And this looks like just the worst thing you can imagine living in the depths of the sea.
It's a fish.
It's a fish. It's a minion fish.
You know what it resembles? Your surprise.
Should I show the surprise? It does kind of okay, it's not a fish. I didn't bring a fish with me. Although I would. That's not that unusual for me.
Maybe it was a really cool fish.
But if it was a cool enough fish, I would bring it. Today, I had the distinct pleasure of discovering a freshly dead red-headed centipede outside of my hairdresser's house. So I asked her for a Ziploc bag, and she gave it to me. After I confirmed, of course, that she didn't need this.
Right.
Because, it's her property, so I wanted, obviously she has first dibs.
Some people want to keep their own centipedes.
Some people do. I would want to keep I'd be like, get away from that, that's mine. But it was, the only thing wrong with it is missing part of its antenna on the left side. And,
for some reason, don't rotate it again.
No, you don't want it to look at you?
No, I don't know why. It's not looking at it. When its underside is pointed right at me and all its 100 legs are
It doesn't have 100 legs.
Okay. That's when all of its 66 legs are pointed at me, for some reason, then it triggers something primal in me.
Something inside of you is
like when these are alive, I cannot handle them.
Okay. But it's wonderful. It's so it's beautiful. It's aside from the antenna, it is otherwise unblemished. I'm gonna put it a little closer so
let
that
the people see.
The people
face it
can
at them.
see.
Face it at them. Make them suffer.
Can see.
I can see it in the recording monitor, and it doesn't bother me there.
It's not, well, it's because it's not looking directly at you.
Oh yes, it's baleful gaze.
Yeah,
that is
you're
clearly...
perceiving it through the.
Whether I appreciate what's actually functionally happening or not, it is truly its gaze.
So anyway, I had, of course, this is why I was late. After acquiring, after adding this to my inventory in the Ziploc bag, I had to go by the craft store and find a jar for it of an appropriate size, and then I had to go home and add some alcohol so we could preserve it, because I didn't want it was fresh, I didn't want it to, dry out or something to damage it. So yeah, now I have this wonderful specimen to add to my wet specimen collection.
Yeah, and this is yet another reason I think this is going to be either our least or most popular episode ever.
Possibly. So anyway, back to the card game. Being from Beyond, it is a minion fish. It's got, the resemblance here is it's very long, it's got kind of scary, it's got this sort of instead of having one or two fins, it's got these undulating long fins on the bottoms that kind of look like lots and lots of legs. They do. It looks a little leggy. It
doesn't have a lantern, but it has that look of a lantern.
It does.
Fish.
It looks like it's got some bioluminescent.
That's true. Okay.
Things happening on here, and then it's got the anglerfish sort of mouth going on. It's kind of like if you took the best qualities of an anglerfish and an eel and mashed them together. That's kind of what this looks like. Depending on your perspective, maybe those are the worst qualities of those animals. I don't know.
This is the day that Julie is very pro-abomination, just in general. I mean, that is what it's the game, but also...
I guess I'm always kind of pro-abomination. We were...
Yeah.
It's kind of just...
This period of time here is every other week we're going to talk about the cute fuzzies in Bloomborough, and then we're going to talk about just this.
Duskmorn. Yeah. And whenever this reaps, discard one, then draw one. So this has a little rummage effect going on, too. So that's cool. I really like that art. This one is illustrated by David Hudnut. Can you read that?
Appears to be right. H-U-D-N-U-T.
Okay. Wait, I skipped one. Daughter of Blood.
Oh.
This is a minion demon. This is illustrated by Darken. Hey, this is an artist I recognize from MTG.
Really?
Yeah, it's a Daarken.
Okay.
Yeah, so they
342 cards.
They've done a lot of work for Magic.
Oh, wow. Okay, wow, this is...
Congratulations, Darken. You win the lottery.
Bloodghast. Yeah.
You win the which magic artist will we pull first here, or at least the first one that we recognize, because I don't know with certainty that someone we've seen already didn't illustrate anything for Magic. But...
Cemetery Prowler. Okay, yeah. I
some stuff you may recognize.
I definitely recognize.
Contagion Engine.
Yeah. Is that the same one we were talking about earlier?
Yes,
Nils
that's
Hamm
in the Nils Hamm Secret Lair.
That's the sub-theme of the episode, Contagion Engine.
Contagion Engine, hashtag Contagion Engine.
Yes. I'll add that.
Okay, cool. So this is you pay 6, gray, strength 4. Each enemy discards 3 on the trigger.
That sounds wild.
And we have finally gotten into the uncommons.
Okay.
So this is our first uncommon. Very cool.
Yeah.
Our next...
This was out of a 40-card starter. These are not 60-card starters, which the Magic used to do. This is just 40. Probably because no lands.
I love the flavor text of this.
I love the name of this.
This is called Elevator.
But it's a minion
animate. It's a minion animate, so it looks like we have some, like... These kind of feel like artifact creatures. Like, there was a minion animate earlier.
I know we have creepy dolls and stuff.
Yeah, the Eviscerator looked like a big, like, mechanical machine or something. Okay. This is like a possessed elevator, I guess.
There's a whole X-Files episode on that. Yeah. That was a really weird episode.
You know, this does feel... Even though this wasn't... I'm trying to remember when X-Files went off the air, but there's some overlap, I feel, here from some of the
I think X-Files was like 93
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure it was over by the time this came out, but I do feel like there's some overlap in some of the themes and...
Oh, 11 seasons started in 93.
Oh, okay.
So it went to...
Maybe that was just a little bit fresher.
So it ended right as they were ramping up design for this game. So clearly they got the creative staff to come over.
Yeah,
That's obviously what happened.
The flavor text on this card says, in case of possession, take the stairs.
Okay, I like it. I like it.
And it's got a ability up top here. If this is a greed abomination, it gets +3 strength.
Okay, so greed is green. So if you play a green minion on top of this, the whole thing gets bigger. That's neat.
That's cool. That's actually pretty cool. Yeah. It costs 7, so it's not cheap, but that is a neat effect.
Yeah.
All right. Roach Keeper.
Do you like this?
I do like this. I bet a lot of people won't, though.
The people who played this game when it was out, they were into this.
They were clearly, they were into the, I was like...
Apparently there were not enough of them, though.
Apparently there were not enough of them. This is a minion vermin. It has Guardian, so that's like the defender effect, which that's kind of unfortunate. I mean... As much as I feel like I want this to do more, I feel like that's kind of accurate because, like, roaches don't hurt anybody. They're just...
They're just there.
They just upset certain people. So, I mean, that kind of tracks to me where I'm like, they're not really aggro.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, all right.
But it also has a little green trigger, draw 1 card. Or draw 1, which I assume is draw a card. And it's a 3 for 3, so, like, those aren't bad stats. It's just unfortunate that it can't attack for you.
Yeah. To circle back to something...
Yeah.
A 1-minion abomination can't attack or block.
Okay.
So
you would have to play something else.
It is not useful to just play a single defender by itself.
So these are actually kind of bad.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
It seems like
I guess we'll find out when we play, but these don't seem like great includes in your deck.
Yeah.
This is another minion animate.
Yeah.
Mr. Bananas.
See, this is the possessed toy kind of vibe.
Yes. This also has Guardian. While this is a deceit abomination, it can attack as though it weren't a guardian.
Okay, blue. So Simic gets huge and
this is a green minion.
Defenders.
Yeah. Okay, that's neat. Illustrator on this one is Kari Christensen. And just terrifying little animated monkey toy with way too many teeth.
I love the name.
Way too many teeth. Do not care for that at all.
That's how the Phantom of the Opera starts out.
Let's see. This is a minion demon. Orthon. It's got a red trigger. Look at the top card of target enemy's deck. You may destroy that card.
Huh. I assume that just means put it to the graveyard.
Yeah, I would think so.
That's such a weird phrasing. Yeah, put it into the graveyard.
Illustrator on this is Chris Hawks. This might be a good time to talk about, like, we haven't played with these. These just came out of the starter deck packs. These things pick up fingerprints like crazy.
Yeah, that's probably another reason this didn't.
So, like, I'm just looking at them, and, you know, we're not shuffling them, we're not excessively handling them, but like this one is already picking up a lot.
You're not a particularly unclean person in your physical
I'm
existence.
not a germaphobe. I'm not someone who like excessively washes their hands, but like, you know, I'm not super oily all the time.
Yeah, same. I've noticed the same thing with the ones that I already had open when they arrived.
All right, let's see. Impale. This is a combat fate tactic. It's blue. Target abomination gets Ripper. Draw 1. What is Ripper?
Ripper, I think. Let me just make sure.
This is another illustration by David Hudnut.
When it deals damage, you may distribute that damage however you like among the blocker's minions, not necessarily from the top down.
Okay.
So
you could take out part of the
yeah.
stack.
So I think presumably, usually you want to play the biggest thing on top so that it's hard to kill a particular abomination. But this thing says, I don't care, I'll kill your ones and twos who are at the bottom of the stack.
That's interesting, because if you are blocking with a an abomination that only has 2 minions, and you get rid of the weaker one on bottom or something, like, then you could kind of screw over your opponent a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ripper seems
That seems good. What's our next one here? Open the Tomb. This is illustrated by Christopher Shy. It is a red fate tactic. Reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. Put any revealed Aztecal minion cards into play. Their summon effects don't happen, so I guess that bypasses ETBs, basically.
No triggers.
If you use this.
But Aztecal is like, there is a, what is that, Coatl.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there's a Coatl card somewhere here.
I was like, I don't remember seeing
there are a number
yet,
of subtype Aztecal.
I assume we're going to have one in here somewhere. Maybe not. I don't know. Gluttonous Flesh Bag. I think this is my favorite.
Is this one of the rares? Yep, we're into the rares.
No, this is a uncommon.
Indeed.
This one has Survivor plus X. X equals this abomination's size.
Have we established what Survivor means yet?
I don't remember talking about that.
When it blocks or is blocked, it ignores the first X damage dealt to its top minion. So it's... Didn't we have something that just spelled out that same effect?
It did. It was a combat trick, though.
Yeah. Okay, so rather than saying Survivor...
This is just static.
Okay.
Illustration by Colin Fix. Flavor text reads, every inch of its slick, quivering body aches with hunger. And it's like shoving someone's leg into its mouth.
Okay, so mechanically, it's the opposing abomination's gonna have to deal at least 6 to get rid of this thing.
This reminds me of the Thralls in Ravnica.
Yeah.
It looks very visually similar to some of those.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right. I'm not sure how many rares there are in a pack, so if we're down to our last few cards, I think...
Yeah. I know the first one I looked at was a rare, and there was at least one other rare under it.
So it's probably 2 or 3.
This one is Hound of Leng. Not to be confused with the Library of Leng from Magic.
Indeed.
They
could have been related,
this
but we don't know.
This is a dog minion. It's a minion dog.
Yay. People love dogs.
And the flavor text just says fetch, which is a quote from Victor Prime, Endbringer. Which is kind of a job title I want to aspire to.
Well, Endbringer is
now.
what you are as a player.
Like, instead of a Planeswalker, you're an Endbringer.
In Hecatomb, you are an Endbringer.
I wonder if Victor Prime is someone that we meet in the course of the game. Like, is this someone we're supposed to know?
If this had stuck around long enough to have novels, we would probably know.
Is there an unpublished novel about Victor Prime? Is that what I'm writing later this year? It could be.
You still owe us a fiction on... the skeleton abomination in Little Ixalan.
Okay. Yeah. If anyone seriously wants to read that besides you, I mean, I'll write it just for you. But if anybody else wants to read it, we could share it with our public. If anyone is interested in my non-canonical MTG fan fiction.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah, I've been actually thinking about that. I was like, I need to start like structuring my writing time and coming and like doing something with this.
I think so.
This one has Reaper +2, and it costs 5, but it's strength 3. So like I'm kind of seeing some similarities in what we normally see in Magic and many other TCGs, where as costs go up, generally, if you're getting any kind of additional effect with the creature, if it's not a vanilla, you're going to see a decrease in their strength just to avoid them being like really overpowered. So that kind of, I'm like, okay, that kind of tracks. Okay, we've got one more uncommon, and then all right, this looks like a Titan, like from Attack on Titan.
100%.
Like that's what this is.
But this predates.
It does, but
Attack
like
on
that's
Titan
what this is.
Yeah.
So this is called Thousand Faced One. It just looks like a guy covered in like raw muscle. It is a minion shapeshifter, and it has a gray trigger. It says gain 1 soul. Costs 5, but it's strength 3. And it's illustrated by Ben Templesmith.
Okay.
That's cool. Oh, you can see he has shed his flesh.
Oh. Yeah, usually 1,000 faces seems like it would imply like...
Well, I was thinking
not
like
sequentially.
I was thinking of like Sakashima. Well, like in the art for Sakashima, you have all the different masks, at least in the first printing. That's like, oh, they can like shift between them. This guy, I don't know how his situation works.
Does this one?
But yeah, just ripped off his whole flesh suit, threw it on the ground.
In the spirit of this game, we're gonna do that.
I don't know. Maybe he like regenerates. Yeah, maybe he regenerates his flesh now, and then he can rip that one off when he's done with it. I don't know. That's neat.
I wonder what it sounds like. I don't wonder what it sounds like. Anyway, let's go on to the next card.
It's squishy.
Let's go on to the next card.
Oh, anyway. Next one is Great Cthulhu, highest of the old great ones. This is a god.
It's Cthulhu!
It's Cthulhu himself.
Any game that has Cthulhu in it, you want to have Cthulhu. I wanted to have Cthulhu, and now I have Cthulhu, and
you have Cthulhu. Yeah, no, like, look at it, too. It's all caps, Great Cthulhu, the title. Like, this feels epic.
Yeah.
All enemies discard their hands.
Yeah. So,
whenever you're attacked, the aggressor sacks a minion.
So god cards. So I think there are only 4 card types. Minions, we've seen plenty of. Fates, they are the instants and sorceries. Relics do the artifact job. And gods, I mean, already enchantment, artifact, planeswalker, they kind of overlap in Magic, they can. But planeswalkers didn't exist when this game existed, so they certainly wouldn't have had that as a basis for comparison. But gods have a static ability and a triggered ability. And this is where there is a kind of a legend rule analog. You can only have one god at a time. So if you play a god, you discard whatever god you had before then, if you had one. So you can put a bunch in your deck, but you're going to keep discarding them as you play new ones.
And it doesn't look like Great Cthulhu can attack.
No,
he just hangs
they
out
do not have...
and has this effect.
Yep.
So this is kind of like reverse Annihilator. Whenever you're attacked, the aggressor sacks a minion.
Ah, that's neat.
I like that.
And apparently there is an ability, I don't think it's come up, where it's just a minion ability where they'll have some other ability if you have a god.
Okay.
I think it's follower or something. Oh, yeah.
Neat.
A minion with a follower ability that's active only when you control a god. So, but we didn't open any of those.
This is illustrated by Sam Wood, and I really like this.
Yeah.
It's really neat. So yeah, congratulations. Cthulhu has graced us with his presence.
Thanks. Well, that single starter deck took way longer to open than I thought it would. So I think that's probably where we should call it for today's video. But again, I have no idea if people enjoyed this. So, we'll see from the viewer count.
Let us know if you're interested in these kinds of things.
Very proactively, please.
Yes, proactively.
Also, if you just do not want any more of this.
Yeah. Also, let us know.
Yeah.
If you would like to see me bring more wet specimens. Maybe I should start a separate channel.
She will bring the mammals. They exist.
They do. Yeah, maybe I should just have like a TikTok or something where I just show off my wet specimens. That might be something that people are into.
The crab would be good.
The crab is good. I do have a crab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's keep it non-vertebrates.
Okay.
On this channel.
Okay.
All right.
You can see I'll start another channel where you can see the vertebrates.
Okay. Bye.
Flopped.